This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, an NDSU student redefines what it means to be man's best friend.
An area college student takes his childhood hobby all the way to the world stage.
A Bison football player is leading the herd after spending over half a decade with the team.
Plus, MSUM's president reflects on her time at the university. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Brian Ashburn.
And I'm Jessica Gulseth. Minnesota State University has found its next president.
Almost a year after MSUM's current president announced she is retiring, the MSU Board of Trustees has selected Dr. Ann Blackhurst as the 11th president of MSUM. They announced their decision at a meeting on Wednesday. Blackhurst is the current provost and senior vice president of academic affairs. She has been at MSUM since 2011. Blackhurst will be presented as president-elect by the chancellor of MSU this Monday at MSUM's Memorial Union. She will take office July 1st.
For the last 6 years, Edna Szymanski has served as MSUM's president. And while it may be a short time in office compared to her predecessors, her tenure didn't come without challenges.
We sat down with President Szymanski as she looked back at her time as a dragon.
Everything I did for the students.
When Edna Szymanski thinks back on her first year as president,
That was a real thrill.
she remembers all the challenges it presented, financially
Then the recession hit and the state took away money.
and physically.
And then it was followed by the flood.
Getting through the Red River flood of 2009 was important and laid the groundwork of her becoming a dragon.
The way people came together, I found very moving.
From the get-go, her focus has always been on the students.
It's not about me. It's not about legacy or anything else. My job was to really make the university work at its best for its students.
With a growing deficit, Szymanski was forced to make unpopular decisions, like cutting programs and reducing faculty.
It's not easy. And, people were pretty nasty, frankly.
These decisions prompted considerable backlash from students, faculty, and community members.
There were lies told and, really negative personal assaults. My job is to love the unlovable, even when they're attacking me.
But ultimately, Szymanski says MSUM has prospered. 97% of last year's graduates found jobs or additional education, the highest placement of any state institution.
That's the trick. We had to come to a point where we were known for the excellence that we have with our faculty and our students.
Around campus, she goes by President Edna, making a point of connecting with students as much as possible.
It's important to know what you're working for.
When she steps down in June, she plans on hiking, traveling, and spending time outdoors with her husband. But above all else,
Well, I am very much looking forward to anonymity.
Szymanski says that she has paved the road for her successor to step in and continue to grow relevant programs and community outreach.
Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton signed a bill into law requiring state businesses to increase minimum wage. College students making minimum wage will see a bump in their paychecks, while their employers will see a dip in their payroll accounts. Reporter Jordan Schreier breaks down the numbers on an area campus.
MSUM sophomore Megan Fritz is coming to work at the first-year program office, where she's clocking in for the day, taking concerned parents' calls,
Yes.
and going through the email, all for the federal minimum wage.
I don't know, it's hard to live off of just making $7.25 an hour.
Currently, she works 40 hours between 2 minimum wage jobs.
It was pretty much like pay your bills and go grocery shopping, and that was it, the end.
With Minnesota raising its minimum wage in August, that $7.25 an hour will turn to $8. From $8, it will gradually increase to $9.50 by 2016. This increase will allow Megan to worry a little less about her bills.
It's definitely very helpful. Probably buy more groceries than I do now.
But MSUM never planned for this 10% increase.
The impact on our budget is probably around $75,000.
On an already tight budget.
And so the dollar amount impact we know of, we're just not sure how we're going to handle that budgetarily.
And some of the options, students like Megan won't be happy to hear.
Another option is to reduce the amount of students working on campus, of course. I'm not saying that that's a good option, but it's an option.
But until August, Megan will have to budget her money for $7.25 an hour.
I mean, it's possible, but it's really hard to do.
With photographer Melissa Steffen, Jordan Schreier, Campus News.
About 350,000 Minnesotans will be affected by the minimum wage increase.
Students at Valley City State University are mourning the loss of a star baseball player after a raft capsized in the Cheyenne River. Senior Dan Buhner went rafting with fellow VCSU students Ryan Shaw and Hayden Johnson. The raft went over a small dam and capsized around 1 o'clock Monday morning. Shaw and Johnson made it to shore with the help of emergency workers and nearby residents. Search crews began looking for Buhner on Monday but didn't find his body until Tuesday morning. No life jackets or paddles were found after the raft capsized. The reason why the three were rafting remains unknown. Buhner was a member of the baseball team and started 19 games this season.
An MSUM theater alum moved to Los Angeles to chase his dream of acting and landed a role that hit close to home. 1998 alum Tom Musgrave is from Valley City, North Dakota, and is starring in the FX miniseries Fargo. He plays Bo Monk in the series, acting alongside Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton. Musgrave says he provided Midwestern knowledge to the cast and crew by showing them how to pronounce words and explaining what hot dish is. The 10-episode series airs Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on FX.
Students had the opportunity to showcase their hard work and research efforts at the State Student Academic Conference held at MSUM. More than 150 students from 8 MSU universities presented at the State Academic Conference. They could present their research with a written paper, a poster, or an oral presentation. Students interacted with other peers and faculty about their presentations.
Someone comes by and then gives you critiques. They'll give you feedback, what you did well, what you could improve.
The next day, MSUM hosted its 16th Student Academic Conference held exclusively for MSUM students. There were more than 200 presentations at the conference.
A handful of celebrities have walked through the gates of MSUM, but two of the most memorable are not your average stars.
Reporter Meredith Watney introduces us to the campus collies.
Stop. Stop. Jackson, stop. Good boys. Okay.
Retired Professor Bev Wesley and her tricolored collies, Titan and Jackson, have become a staple of MSUM, visiting almost daily for walks.
I'm coming.
The combination of brown wispy fur, bushy tails,
There he goes.
and friendly dog grins are a familiar sight to many students on campus.
We go through campus a lot, don't we?
Not only do Titan and Jackson enjoy their walks through campus, but so do several students because they're missing their dogs from home.
I'm good too. Did you go to?
They can be a good stress reliever for students that either are anxious or especially like around finals week or if they're homesick. Usually the dogs can give comfort.
They have a good rest of your day.
Whenever Titan and Jackson make an appearance on campus, they're usually flooded with attention.
The students very definitely love it, and the dogs love it too.
Bev and her late husband Walter met at MSUM, where they were both eventually professors. They had 2 or more collies in their life since marrying in 1968 and moved in just 1 block off campus in 1971.
That was kind of on the way then, and he had a collie then, and her name was Tawny. The spring we got married, we got a tricolor collie, Tammy. We always walked the dogs and hiked with the dogs and played with the dogs, didn't we? Enough. They have another sense about them.
Bev's had a total of 8 collies.
Tammy, Obie, Apache, Cassie, Halley's Comet, Zeus, Titan, and Jackson 8. He spotted you.
She truly has a collie love affair.
I got it. Why else do we like you? People that grew up with Lassie, I guess that's part of it.
With photographer Naoya Uchida,
Bye-bye.
Meredith Watney, Campus News.
Hi, Milton. Say, there's our friend Milton.
Titan and Jackson also visit a 2nd grade classroom at Ellen Hopkins in Moorhead, where the students practice reading skills by reading to the dogs.
From fluffy tails to floppy ears, one NDSU student is using his furry pets in an unusual way. Reporter Jenna Weinberger introduces us to Shane Ringdahl, a competitive rabbit enthusiast.
He's in good shape too, very nice condition. This is Shane, and this
is Nutmeg right here.
And for 8 years, Shane has been showing rabbits. He competes in shows 2 to 3 times a month, and his bunnies have him hopping around.
All over the tri-state area, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. Occasionally I'll go to Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe Montana, and then I'll go to the national shows once or twice a year, and those are all over the country.
Winning him
several best in shows, and I'm nationally competitive.
Shane was asked to judge the Hubbard County 4-H Rabbit Fun Show. Shane judged both the showmanship classes and breed classes.
This is a nice buck. You look for the body type of the rabbit, what kind of shape the rabbit has, if it meets the breed standard. You look at fur quality and color.
The Soraris family finds rabbits irresistible.
It's a good family project. My husband is working today, or he would be here too.
Vicky is a proud mom of her 2 children who have both taken up her passion for bunnies.
I like watching my kids learn and succeed.
Shane says that he learns something new every show. He enjoys traveling and meeting new people who share
enthusiasm for bunnies.
With photographer Alyssa Eisness, from Akeley, Minnesota, Jenna Weinberger, Campus News.
Shane is spending this weekend showing off his 4-legged friends in Austin, Minnesota.
For 18 years, Daryl Richardson has been rising before the sun to keep the Fargo-Moorhead area up to date on storm warnings and weather forecasts. But this longtime Fargo meteorologist has decided to move on from early morning forecasts to a new job at NDSU. After nearly 20 years, Daryl decided it was time to begin a new chapter as he accepted a job at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network at NDSU, also known as NDON.
I'm at that age where I really thought, what point, should I do something else? New challenges, kind of get the brain going a little bit.
He will now be working on climate research that will involve collecting climate-related data and using it to help in agriculture and other related fields. NDON can be found at the Department of Soil Science at NDSU. It provides hourly weather updates across North Dakota and other surrounding states.
You've probably heard the popular saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. Reporter Oniza Ohikari tells us the story of a chef that teaches MSUM students some basic but tasty culinary lessons.
The MSUM auditorium was filled with the aroma of tasty food as Chef Robert Jones began to craft his dishes for the night. For over 20 years, Chef Jones has been cooking up a variety of dishes.
It's more of a hobby, but I make a living on it.
The chef prepared some simple dishes and also handed out the recipes to the students. The goal of this event was to teach the students some cheap and tasty meals they can easily prepare while in college.
When you're in college, you don't have to live on ramen noodles.
For some of the students, the engaging part of the night was helping the chef prepare the meals. But the long-awaited moment finally arrived as the students queued up to try the chef's work.
Probably the eating is my favorite part.
And besides getting to taste the food, the students still had a lot to take away.
It's really a change of pace, and the recipes, the way he showed them, are really easy.
It was cool to watch and learn new techniques and learn new recipes.
At the end of the night, the students not only leave with full bellies, but with the skills to make these tasty dishes for themselves. With photographer Naoya Uchida,
perfect.
Onizi Ohikere, Campus News.
Enjoy.
This was Jones's third show at MSUM. He currently works as a chef at a church in South Fargo.
Students and faculty members gathered at MSUM to find out what professors really do during their sabbaticals. MSUM's Dragon Entertainment Group hosted Sabbatical Stories, where 3 professors talked about what they did during their paid semester away from classes. All professors went abroad to further their own educations, including studying fish in Costa Rica and playing the drums with other musicians in Ghana. The purpose of the event was to show students how professors work outside of their own classrooms.
My goal is to simply educate MSUM students and let them honestly see how great and wonderful and astonishing the things that our professors are doing.
Professors at MSUM are allowed to apply for sabbatical once every 7 to 10 years.
A small piece of technology is having a big impact at NDSU.
Reporter Jocelyn Horstevsky takes us into the lab to meet the students doing nanoparticle research.
You know, every faculty member's, researchers' whole success or failure depends upon the students we have.
Achintia Besbura knows that the future of science is in the hands of current college students.
So far, the students are really doing a remarkable job.
Dr. Besbura is the Assistant Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering at NDSU. This semester, he has a special group of students working with him on nanoparticles.
We're trying to study how nanoparticles are going to be interacting with the plants and how they can be uptaken into our ecosystem.
Nanoparticles are extremely small particles that are often invisible under a microscope. They're also found in many common items like sunscreen and cosmetics. For Amanda Gross and James Tibbles, these little particles are making a big impact on their studies.
The reason that we're looking at the effects on plants is because plants is an inner food chain, so we eat the plants. So if there's an effect on the plants, maybe in later years when we're eating the plants, that they're going to affect us.
Amanda's work with nanoparticles began last year when she was a junior at NDSU. She started the project that she and James are currently working on.
Waiting for them to grow. Once they grow up to a certain area, I'm going to measure the length of the soots and the roots.
And while the experiments may seem complex, the hopes of the students conducting them are simple.
We're just hoping to find out how that's going to be affecting our environment since we're already using it.
The work that the students will do for the rest of their time at NDSU will continue long after the students have graduated, and hopefully will contribute to the science community. With photographer Hans Kammer, Jocelyn Horstevsky, Campus News.
Students at NDSU are also studying nanoparticles in lake water.
Students from all over the world came together on MSUM's campus to showcase their cultures with music, performance, and delicious food. This year, 505 international students from 64 countries cooked, performed, and dressed up for MSUM's Celebration of Nations. Organizers say it's an opportunity for students to bring unique aspects of their culture to the Fargo-Moorhead community.
I always tell students, this is the day that you can be you. Wear a sari, wear an outfit of yours, speak in your language, invite everybody that you know, and then have a day for you.
MSUM's top attending countries are Nepal, Nigeria, South Korea, and China.
Some students have days so busy they could fall asleep anywhere, even on stage in front of an audience.
Ariana Babcock reports how one hypnotist visited MSUM and had students doing crazy things while they were asleep.
And sleep now.
Some students are using their shoe as a phone, giving massages, and singing.
I'm a rock star, get your game on. Wait, what?
Sleep now.
All while sleeping. Hypnotist Robert Geigel had the students doing things in their sleep they probably wouldn't even do if they were awake.
I remember feeling kind of a little stressed sometimes, but I don't really remember doing anything specifically.
Gotta approach it with an open mind and, just have fun and go with it.
The students seemed to have fun and go along with it while they were pretending to give birth,
Are you okay?
dance like Michael Jackson, and pick bugs out of each other's hair like monkeys. While some people are skeptical about the act, Robert has a solution.
Do what I say. Do what I say. And I'll guarantee you, you're going night-night.
Before the show, they had high hopes to be hypnotized.
I'm sure for me to do something funny, so I don't really make a fool of myself, but I entertain the crowd.
Heather may want to do it again.
I would get hypnotized over and over again. It's pretty fun.
While others say not so much.
Never in a million years. I don't want that 50 years from now, my grandkids looking at that going, Grandma, why did you do that?
At first I was really skeptic, there's no way, they're faking. But then I'm like, their reactions are too real.
Sleep now.
They may not remember why they did it and what they did in their trance, but their friends definitely have the video to remind them forever. With photographer Megan Nearing, Ariana Babcock, Campus News.
Geigel is starting a hypnosis business where he hopes to motivate people to stop smoking and overcome their fears.
And now we turn it over to Kenny Buck for a look at this week's sports.
NDSU hired another new coach.
Yes, the Bison made their third head coaching hire this year, but the first to come outside of the NDSU athletic department. It's just one new coach after another with North Dakota State after naming Maren Walseth their new women's basketball coach. Walseth comes from women's basketball powerhouse Penn State, where she assisted the Nittany Lions for 7 years. The new coach says she's looking forward to the challenge.
I'm well aware of the rich tradition here at NDSU, and I'm honored and excited to carry the torch for the next few years.
Maren Walseth is originally from Bloomington, Minnesota, and her sister Annika played for NDSU 6 years ago. After losing NDSU football standouts like Brock Jensen and Marcus Williams, the Bison are in need of senior leadership. Reporter Kyle Wahlberg introduces us to one of those leaders who's returning for his 6th season with the Herd.
For 23-year-old Kevin Vodlin, this year shouldn't be unlike any other year, but it is. After redshirting and 2 ACL tears cut 2 of his football seasons short, he's thankful to be back. The NDSU tight end is in his 6th season with the Bison, something his teammates don't let him forget.
Yeah, they got these jokes they have with Grandpa Vodlin, stuff like that. So I've been around for another 10 years, stuff like that. So it's all good fun.
As a returning player for the 3-time FCS champion Bison, it falls on him to be a veteran to a team that gets younger every year.
You know, he's a guy that can provide some leadership to the young kids. You know, on the field, off the field. He knows what it takes to win here at NDSU.
Kevin is a unique leader. As a soft-spoken guy, he is stepping up this year, although doing so in a way coaches like to see.
Kevin's a kid who's going to lead by example. He's not going to go out and be a rah-rah guy. He isn't going to speak up, say in a meeting. He's a guy who's just going to go out and play. And that's all we ask of him.
Not the vocal kind of leader, but I mean, just going out to practice, working hard every day, showing by example, and then when they need me to, step up and be that vocal leader.
Most 23-year-olds have already graduated from college and are working, something even Kevin can't escape from.
I think about it all the time. Still not really sure. Not really sure what my path is after this next season, so we'll see when the time comes.
Even with his future after college unsure, Kevin knows that he still has another season to compete with the Bison. Kyle Wahlberg, Campus News.
The Bison opened their season at Iowa State on August 30th. Bison baseball is looking to improve an 11-17 record with 18 games left in their season. NDSU suffered a brutal stretch, losing 9 of 11 games from late March through early April. The Bison are -17 in runs scored, but scoring doesn't seem to be the problem. Starting pitchers are holding teams to 3 runs per game, but the relievers have a combined earned run average of over 7. NDSU travels to Omaha, Nebraska this weekend in hopes of straightening out that bullpen. MSU softball is bouncing back from a rough 2013 season by having their best year since 2008. The season is far from over with 3 conference doubleheaders remaining. Junior shortstop Taylor Hoos says there have been major changes happening in the dugout.
This year we just have a better overall attitude on our team, and I think that makes the world of a difference. If you have 17 girls on the team that all want it just as bad as you do.
To keep their place in the playoffs, the Dragons have to go through Sioux Falls, Minnesota Duluth, and Southwest Minnesota State. The MSU women's rugby team has been biting the heels of nationals for the past 3 years. Now, they've finally qualified. Reporter Haley Foster has more on the team that has been scrumming their way to the top.
The Lady Hummers came back from a hard-fought weekend in Wayne, Nebraska, to find that their blood, sweat, and tears have finally paid off. The MSU Moorhead women's rugby team has made it to nationals in the Sevens League.
Sevens is an up-and-coming thing, so with our Sevens team, it gives us more playing time, and it gets our name, our MSUM women's rugby team, out there and known.
Traditionally, rugby games are 80 minutes long, with 15 girls from each team. Sevens uses the same size field, but cuts the time to 14-minute games with 7 players each.
Our team decided that we wanted to put a Sevens team together for the first time, so we just kind of went for it, and I guess we did well enough to get invited to nationals.
The team's success has not gone without challenges. In fact, half of their team is still learning the basic fundamentals of the game. On a team of nearly 20 players, only one has played rugby before coming to college.
We usually practice as a 15s team, so our 15s team trains as hard as we can for spring season. This whole nationals thing was just sprung on us, so these next 2 weeks will be pretty intense.
The women's 15s team took second place in the Wayne tournament. Because they beat the team that won the sevens tournament, they automatically qualified for nationals, making this year one to remember. Haley Foster, Campus News.
The national tournament will be held in Ellendale, Michigan, the first weekend in May. Guys?
That's really awesome that they had both teams make it to nationals. We wish them good luck.
Thanks, Kenny. Life is like a yo-yo. It goes up and down. No one knows that better than NDSU student John Narum.
Reporter Macy Eglin shows us how the sophomore became a worldwide yo-yo champion.
This is John Narum, and he's not your average college student.
I am a world champion.
A world champ. He won the yo-yo title in 2005.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how like yo-yos changed over time.
It all started when he was 4 years old.
It's really funny. I was watching the Bill Cosby show like 15 years ago now, actually. And I saw this kid doing some yo-yo tricks, and I thought it was like the coolest thing and thought I could do that.
So he did what any kid would.
And I asked my mom if there was like any way to get into yo-yoing, and she found out there was this yo-yo club in downtown Minneapolis.
He joined the club and learned both on-string and off-string tricks, which later led him to multiple yo-yo titles. Today, John focuses more on teaching than competing. He even performs for his roommates and has inspired them to take up the hobby.
At the end of my senior year, he gave me a yo-yo as a graduation present, and I practiced all summer, and then I just started doing it ever since.
I like tricks that like can seem appealing to like both the yo-yoers and the non-yo-yoers. So, because it's like that's what makes it interesting and gets people into it. That's mainly my goal nowadays, because I've already been to like the top and I've already won worlds. My goal is to make people realize that you can really take anything you want to do with your life and actually do it.
John spreads his passion for yo-yoing with everyone he meets and hopes to inspire others to do what they love.
Like, we live in such a cynical society, it's kind of sad. Like, you have all these kids just like finding unique talents and they think they can't do them in the future, but really you can.
Even if it is a little out of the ordinary. Macy Eglin, Campus News.
John says he has owned around 600 yo-yos in his lifetime. He bought his first one with his own allowance for $5. And that does it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with a look at the celebration of nations.
Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.